You may see a happy and loving couple, but sometimes things aren't always what they seem. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about former NFL football player Earl Thomas being robbed, scammed, conned, whatever you want to call it, by his ex-wife's current, keyword current, boyfriend to the tune of nearly $2 million. Now, there is so much in this case. First of all, the ex-wife is not being charged, and I find it very difficult to believe that the current boyfriend of this woman did all this without her knowledge, without her being involved. I find that very, very difficult to believe. And also, how did Earl Thomas not really know what was going on, or did he know what was happening? Did he contact police? How did this whole thing unfold? Now, before we get to the news clip, first things first, let's go back to the picture. Now, as I said, you may see a photo like this of Earl Thomas and his ex-wife in better times and think that everything was all good. There's no problems there. But obviously, there are some problems. They got divorced. There was an incident where they pulled guns on each other in the parking lot. So clearly, there's some problems that are much deeper than the surface. And I think this $1.9 million scam is part of their pre-existing problems, although she's not been charged. Now, before we go any further, let's get into the news clip. If you want to see the clip in full without my commentary, link, as always, will be in the description. If you're on IG, Facebook, visit a link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Former NFL safety Earl Thomas is the alleged victim of an identity theft scheme. And look, the details around this story is pretty wild, so let's get to it. Kevin J. Thompson, the boyfriend of Thomas's ex-wife, was arrested in New Orleans and is accused of cashing the former safety's NFL checks, stealing.
Now, let's pause for a minute. Now, this happened in New Orleans. His ex-wife is also from New Orleans, all right? So if this guy is riding around in cars and things of that nature, which we'll get to in a minute, she's going to be there. They're in a relationship. It's not long distance. She's going to see everything that's happening. But I don't want to get ahead of myself, so I digress.
From his bank account and transferring car ownership for several vehicles. Thompson.
Matter of fact, let's back up a little bit so we can get that detail about the bank account and the cars and everything else.
The former safety's NFL checks, stealing from his bank account and transferring car ownership for several vehicles. Thompson is now facing charges including identity theft, forgery, money laundering, credit card fraud, computer fraud, and bank fraud. Thompson allegedly opened an account in Earl Thomas's name at Jefferson Federal Credit Union in May of 2022. Thompson then moved at least $700,000 from Thomas's accounts into the Jefferson Federal Credit Union account. Now, Thompson then withdrew cash from that account, including $50,000 in May of 2023. But there's more. Thompson also allegedly transferred the title in multiple vehicles owned by the former Legion of Boom star to himself before selling the cars and keeping the money.
Now, I'm going to tell you what probably happened here. The guy was probably living in the house that Earl Thomas paid for because, remember, this is his ex-wife. They were married, so during the divorce process, there probably was splitting of assets. Maybe she kept the home and some cars. So here comes this bum boyfriend from New Orleans, probably some thug gang member that she'd been known since high school. He moves in, and then he's able to gain access to the vehicles and engage in this identity theft type situation, sell the cars, and pocket the money. Again, it's impossible, in my humble opinion, for the ex-wife to not know what's going on. She had to have been complicit in this whole scam. It's impossible. He's probably in their house, living there, eating up the kids' snacks and everything else, stealing cars, stealing money, writing bad checks, stealing checks. It's impossible for the ex-wife to be totally oblivious to this activity. But let's continue.
Now, how did it all fall apart? Well, a Texas credit union where Earl Thomas had one or more accounts contacted Jefferson Federal Credit Union regarding suspicious activity. The credit union then alerted law enforcement in June of 2023 after concluding that someone other than Earl Thomas had opened the account in his name. One day later, Thompson was arrested at a Jefferson Federal Credit Union branch in New Orleans. Thompson was driving a Rolls-Royce SUV that he had transferred out of Earl Thomas's name, and after being released, Thompson tried to retrieve the Rolls-Royce while driving a Corvette that had been reported stolen in Atlanta, so he was arrested again.
Now let's pause for a minute. Okay, you tried to go get the car that you stole that was retrieved while driving another car that you stole probably from somebody else. You stole a Corvette. Like, you're going to steal a Corvette from Atlanta and use that to go retrieve another stolen car? I mean, how dumb are you? What kind of idiot? Well, we know what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a career criminal, someone who does this for a living, and that's all they know. They're not going to have a regular car. They're not even going to understand the concept of, okay, the car you stole got taken, it got seized, so you might not want to try to steal a stolen car that they know is stolen while it's under the watch of authorities. But we're dealing with a brainless person that'll do a thing like this, and we're dealing with a brainless woman who will entertain a guy like this and allow him to do this. Like, anybody going to find out you stole $2 million from a former NFL football player, from the Legion of Boom, Earl Thomas from the Seahawks? I mean, what kind of ridiculous nonsense is this?
Right now, Thompson is free on a $730,000 bond. He and his attorney declined to comment to NOLA.com on Tuesday. The alleged victim, Earl Thomas, he was a 7-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro and Super Bowl champion as a member of the Seattle Seahawks.
So there you have it. That's what's going on. You have former NFL football player, safety for the Seattle Seahawks, and I think he played 1 year for the Baltimore Ravens, Earl Thomas, being scammed out of $1.9 million. And is that the correct word, scammed? I mean, really, the money was just stolen. It wasn't like Earl Thomas participated, like gave somebody some money to invest and then they took it, like the whole Sam Bankman-Fried type kerfuffle. It wasn't that. This was, he's not even knowing what's going on. The ex-wife is most likely allegedly allowing this guy to have access to checks he might have been in the house, having access to the cars. And this guy's engaging in identity theft and taking money from Earl Thomas. It's totally crazy. But this is part of the reason why a lot of these guys, a lot of athletes, former NFL football players, NBA basketball players, Major League Baseball players, a lot of these guys go broke after ball. It's for a variety of reasons. Bad money management, spending it improperly, just splurging, going to restaurants, spending 5-10 grand a night, dumb stuff like that. That's part of the reason why guys lose their money, but they also get stolen from. And oftentimes, the people who steal from them are the closest to them. Family members, friends, wives, they will literally take money. I saw one of the best documentaries ever, and I watch it every now and again, every 6 months or so, I'll watch it. ESPN 30 for 30 Broke. It's great. And these guys talk about all the different ways that guys lose money, and they have people that are supposed to be in their corner who are not in their corner. You got all kind of stuff going on. Signature forgery, fraud, identity theft, some just straight criminal activities that happen to these guys, just like this. Okay, there was one story where a guy took a girl on a vacation, and they got into an argument. And shortly after that, the guy, the football player, checks his account, and there's a big amount of money missing. And then he's asking the girl, like, hey, what's going on? And she's like, oh, well, I thought that you were going to leave me because we got into that big argument. So I took money out of your account and put it into my own account. This is a girlfriend, not even the wife. So imagine what a wife can do. Some of these divorce settlements into like $100 million range, just dumb stuff. So maybe she wasn't getting enough money. Maybe the house that she probably had from him wasn't enough. Maybe the cars wasn't enough. So let's go steal some money. Just dumb stuff like that. This is part of the reason why guys go broke. They literally get robbed. They get stolen from by those who are supposed to be the closest to them. Friends, husbands, wives, family members. These guys take money, unfortunately. This is yet another example of this kind of thing going on. And unfortunately, it's not as uncommon as it should be. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on what happened here with Earl Thomas being stolen from by his ex-wife's new boyfriend? Do you think that she's involved? Do you think that she was complicit? Do you think that this guy was living in the house that Earl Thomas had bought, that the ex-wife had control of, had ownership of? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. This is a big part of the reason why these guys go broke after ball. Of course, a lot of guys make bad decisions on their own. They just spend money improperly, but sometimes they are not doing the wrong thing and they become victims of crime. When you are a big star, a big celebrity, and people know you have money, you become a big target as well. Home invasion, signature forgery, white collar crime, blue collar crime, you become a target for that. And here is yet another example of this very thing happening. And it's kind of hard to stop it. You were married to a woman and it didn't work out, and then her new guy is coming in, taking your identity, stealing from you. How do you really stop it? Shout out to the federales and/or police who were able to unravel the scam. Hopefully this guy goes up under the penitentiary, big rocks, little rocks. And if they're able to prove, which they shouldn't have a hard time doing, that the ex-wife was involved, throw her up under the penitentiary and make her break big rocks to little rocks as well. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.